And just to make sure, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So, all right. Lorraine, basically, as I was saying, Study Abroad Association, we started in 2009. Our main focus is on getting more students and professors having these experiences around the world. And to do that, we have to make sure that we're making sure programs are within reach of more students, okay? Everything we do is 100% customized. So basically, what I'm going to kind of cover today is how to build, customize, and prepare for a successful program, and how you can make sure that you fill your group up with excited students, and how you can develop the program to complement your course that you're offering and to kind of bring your syllabus to life. Okay.
Okay.
If at any point you have any questions or anything like that, just feel free to jump in and let me know. Okay. The things we're going to cover today are listed out right here, but basically how to choose appropriate destinations, what kind of program length is optimal based on your student body, how to make your program affordable without sacrificing quality, going through all of the processes from the district to make sure that your program's approved. Grant will answer all those questions. How to promote your program, safety and risk while abroad, how to make sure everybody's safe and happy, and what the experience is like whenever it actually takes place. And at the end of the program, how to kind of wrap it all up and, take surveys, feedback, etc., and plan for the future. So those are things we're going to go over today. So you've already discovered the opportunity. That's the first big thing. You are by far the most important person involved with faculty-led study abroad, because without the faculty, we wouldn't be able to offer these programs. So first of all, I want to thank you for joining and having the interest in leading a group. Okay. I can't tell you how many professors that I've worked with, and I'm happy to connect you with many of them who, for them, this is one of the best things that they've done in their career is to start taking students on these educational trips around the world, and they have grown and learned just as much as their students. So it will definitely be a very life enriching experience for you as well. Now, since you're preparing a program, you have many choices of providers on the market. You need to make sure that you find one that's going to work with you, okay? That's going to take the time to listen to you and to customize a program for what you're trying to achieve, okay? That's very important. And one that's going to support you and answer all your questions and be there for you to help you from beginning to end. You have an account manager that's provided to you. Your account manager is basically the person that's going to be your assistant from beginning for coming up with the initial proposal, going back and forth until it's a perfect itinerary, to all the way up until travel, and then being with you throughout the program, and then most importantly being with you when you do return home to kind of look how everything went and discuss all together and to improve for the future. Okay. And most importantly, when you're looking at international business, we need to decide, what are your objectives? What are your goals for the program? Is it to do site visits, to visit foreign institutions and businesses? Do we want to go visit business colleges and universities in foreign countries? Do we want to have a mixture of the two, as well as lots of cultural components? Kind of understand what your personal goals are and what you want for your class and for your students. Okay. Now, Lorraine, very importantly is to decide which destinations that you'd like to offer, right? Kind of where would you like to take your students? When would you like to take your students? And why would you like to take your students there? Speaking from personal past experience, we've taken a lot of business groups to London. We've had business groups go to Germany. We've had business groups in India. But you can develop business-focused programs in any part of the world where it's safe to take students. So it's kind of understanding where you would be interested. Do any of those destinations sound attractive to you?
I really have not given thought to a destination. I'm just really here to listen and
Okay,
learn
cool.
and just see kind of, I might save my questions to the end.
Got you. Not a problem. Just want to make sure I open up that that window there. But basically, the destination it is important, and that's normal. And we or your providers will always provide you samples to go through and to decide what, and you can decide what you feel is best for you. Um, so deciding where to go and then when to go. Obviously, you want to make sure that it doesn't conflict with any kind of festivals or large events or things that are happening in that location. Yesterday, we were discussing a program in Japan for 2020, and they're having the Olympics there. So, when to go. We don't want to go right when the Olympics are happening because prices are almost double, right? So deciding when to go for weather, for peak season, and most importantly, when is it ideal for your students and the faculty to go? Obviously during the academic calendar breaks, and making sure that the destination that you're choosing to go to is appropriate for the course that you're wanting to offer in conjunction with it, or if the program is a field trip or a field course to complement your international business course, right? You want to make sure that they're going to have the opportunity to visit these businesses or local colleges and universities like we were talking about. All right, program length. This is very important. I found that with most community colleges, the programs that are the most successful are normally around between 8 nights and 12 nights. 8 nights and 12 nights. If you keep it within that window, the students find it more accessible. More often than not, the students are, they're working. They may have family responsibilities. They can't leave for 4 weeks or 3 weeks. Many of them, if they are working students, they're limited to only about 2 weeks of holiday per year. So we need to make sure that the length of the program will allow the opportunity to more students. And you can still within an 8-night program, like if you utilize 2 weekends and then a Monday to Friday, you can still satisfy your contact hours within that window very, very easily. It's common. I mean, most of our spring break programs that we run is a very popular window to offer these programs during spring break. They're normally a Saturday till the following Sunday. So they just miss a Monday to Friday to work, and they have 2 weekends. So those work very well. Now, there's different types of programs. Lorraine, you could say like categories. There's city stay programs, which are where basically you make a city like London, for example, as your primary city, and then the students really learn as much as possible within that city and that destination. And then at the end of the trip, they'll go and they'll have a 2-day excursion to a different part of the country, right? So that's a city stay program where you go, you unpack, and you really immerse yourself as much as possible in that location. Learn how to use all the public transportation, visit the majority of the attractions, and really kind of dive in and make yourself at home. Cross country is a type of program where you're going to visit different cities or regions in that country. And then you have multi-country programs where you're visiting multiple countries within the allocated time for your program. If you are doing a multi-country program, you want to make sure that the program is a bit longer, because otherwise if it's a shorter program, like a week-long program, you're going to probably be spending a little bit too much time moving from location to location instead of spending time on ground. And that's really where you want to be. You want to be on ground so you can immerse yourself more. Now, throughout the day-to-day program, there's different ways to break up the day and kind of how to organize it. Let's take international business as the model. A typical day on an international business study abroad would be, morning, breakfast. We have a day briefing where your local guide, group leader, who you have with you throughout the program, kind of gives you the rundown of what's going to happen throughout the day. After breakfast, everybody will get ready, and then we'll probably go to a site visit. Okay, so we'll go visit a local business, or we'll go on a very informative walking tour of the business district. Okay, in a primary city, we might go see, where the stock market is, for example, the stock exchange. Normally those are about 2-3 hours business visit type things in the morning, and then you guys will have lunch, and then in the afternoon it might be a cultural activity. So we'll go visit cultural attractions, monuments, places of historical importance, museums, things like this. And then in the evening they can have free time and cultural immersion, so they can go visit locations that are of interest to them. Yeah. All programs are different. Some programs, they have all of the meals included. Some programs, the professors say, hey, I just want to have a welcome and a farewell dinner. The rest of the time I want to let them have the option to go where they would like to go. So all of that is completely up to you. This is kind of your baby, and you can design it as you wish. And we can also help you and give you advice if you're like, hey, I don't know, because this is my first time. We're happy to help you, to tell you kind of what are the pros and cons of everything, so you can find the right match. But that's kind of like daily layout, deciding, are you going to need classroom space? How do you want to break out your day? And your account manager is going to go back and forth with you on that until you feel like it's just right for your course. Okay. Now, program budget. The most important thing for all of these study abroad programs, for them to be successful, is to make sure that they're affordable, that they're within reach of more students. It's very, very important. So understanding the program budget is important. So basically, we need to look at all of the costs. How much does it cost for these types of these activities, these excursions, and really kind of decide together, is that essential to the course? And if it's not essential, then possibly we should make it optional. And then we can make it optional, and we can lower the cost, right, by saving that. So kind of understanding how much everything costs. Again, that's what your account manager does with you. They give you an itemized breakdown with how much everything costs. And then you can decide, we don't need this, I want to keep this, I want to keep this, we don't need this, until we can find that perfect number that will allow more students to participate. There's many different types of accommodation, so you can stay in hotels, you can stay in guest house, you can stay in top-rated youth hostels, you can stay in student dormitories on local universities. There's many, many different types of accommodations, and basically everywhere that we stay, we've stayed there before. They're clean, they're safe, they're well-researched, and we make sure to check them regularly. But again, the place of accommodation we choose can also have a large effect on the budget. Transportation, do we want this to be a private bus coach tour, or do we want the students and faculty to learn how to navigate the city like the locals do, by using the metro or the subway, by using the local trolleys and trams? These kind of things, right? So how do we want the transportation to be, or do we want it to be a mixture of the two, right? And most importantly, the professor to student ratio. Okay. So basically, professors travel for free. You guys have a complimentary program. And then based on the ratio of how many students participate, that will kind of, determine what the overall program price is. Dr. Sis, can I ask you a quick question?
You bet.
Is there a set number at DCCCD for minimum enrollment for a course to make?
It goes department to department, college to college. The standard for a ground course has been, we try to get 15, but some colleges, will have a 10 student cutoff. On study abroad, we don't we haven't really drilled it down like that. So, you know, as I think you noted, the number of students always impacts to some degree the price of the trip or the price of the course. But if you're running a class, for instance, at a campus, then the break even is about 15 students. It pays for the room, the faculty salary, and and all the associated costs. Obviously, study abroad is a little bit different.
Okay, understood.
So that's a long way of saying no.
Okay, gotcha. I understand. So basically, Lorraine, to kind of explain that, sometimes professors will say, "Hey, could we have a ratio of six students to one professor?" Right. So that means that 6 students will absorb the cost of the one professor to have their complementary program, because you are the one that's getting the group together, joining sessions like this, and teaching throughout the program. Right. So it makes sense that the professor has this provided to them. Now, if it's 6 students that's absorbing the cost opposed to 10 students absorbing the cost, the program price will be a little bit higher if it's 6. So 10 for me is kind of the magic number, because with 10, you're allowed to keep the program more affordable. And it also allows us to get group airfare, which is excellent, because that means that we can request a group airfare quote pretty much 1 year prior to departure. And we have guaranteed airfare price, and everybody flies together. So everybody's together on the plane, everybody's in the same section, and 10's kind of the magic number. Okay, and it's very achievable, and we help you achieve that. So after we've spent, after we've shown you a few itineraries, you've had opportunities to speak to your account manager to say like, hey, I'd like to change this, or I'd like to keep this, or hey, it looks perfect, let's go ahead and make it happen. Then what we do is we just we start to complete the paperwork, and we help you do that. And Grant's going to tell you a lot more about that through email or later when you have time to communicate more. But he'll tell you more about the paperwork at Dallas County. They've really simplified the process now, which is great. So it makes it a lot faster turnaround time in comparison to how it was in the past. So that's really excellent, because at the end of the day, the number one goal here is for these programs to take place. And to do so, we need to make it as easy on the faculty as possible, and to have these programs take place. And that's our job. We basically take care of all the hard stuff, so that way you can go and you can focus on teaching or providing this experience to those students. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay, great. We provide all marketing materials for you, as well as, informative videos, and most importantly, info sessions. So basically, we can schedule informational sessions in the fall, in the spring, and we'll host a webinar just like this. And the students can join that want to find out more about the program. They'll join, and we'll tell them absolutely everything about it, answer all of their questions. And more often than not, after those info sessions, the students immediately after are like, oh, I'm ready, sign me up. They want these opportunities very, very much, more so now than in the past. It's really something that a lot of students want to take advantage of. Okay. So these are 10 steps that are guaranteed to increase study abroad participation. Not all of these match with the process at Dallas, but a few. I want to talk about number 9 and number 10, and number 2 as well. The study abroad fair. The plans are to have these study abroad fairs in the fall and spring, so students will be able to come, and they'll be able to find out more about your program at that study abroad fair, right? So it's a great way to put it in front of the eyes of more students. Yeah, so that's study abroad fair. Faculty development, that's kind of what we're doing right now, is kind of just initial introduction to faculty-led study abroad. And number 9 and 10, regular info meetings. That's where we help you out. We host a webinar just like this, like I just said, and we answer all the questions of the students. And number 10, most importantly, is making sure that the programs are affordable, making sure that more students can have access to these experiences. Okay. Now, safety and risk management, always the number one concern is making sure that the programs are safe and that everybody comes home happy, especially the professors, students, everyone has an excellent, safe experience abroad. You have full-time, around-the-clock assistants from our on-ground team. They're with you throughout the program. They're there to make sure that you're safe. You also have assistants from our team in the United States that you can call, reach out to, and they're there to fix any problems with airfare or any kind of issues like this. If there's an issue with the hotel, etc., you have around-the-clock assistance and support, okay? We have a all-inclusive traveler's insurance policy that's provided in your program. The district's currently using Luremark. They cover you for trip cancellation due to medical emergencies, evacuation. If your flight's delayed, if it has to do with the airline, not on weather, they cover you there. Baggage loss, these kind of things, you have that taken care of. So that way, if one of the students needs to go to the clinic or the hospital, then they're taken care of, okay? You have support on ground and you have support back home. So you are in very good hands and you can rest easy that our number one priority is to make sure that you have a safe and very, very educational quality experience. And that's our number one thing, to avoid all kinds of potential issues. That's why we have in-depth pre-trip orientation briefings where we teach the travelers, how to travel smart, how to travel safe, how to pack appropriately, the do's and don'ts of the countries that we're visiting, and how to travel smartly wherever we go. So we spend a lot of time doing that for the students before the trip as a preventative measurement, and it really works. Medical release forms is basically just so we know if there's any kind of medical conditions of the students that they want us to be aware of in case that they have any kind of emergency. The local on-ground staff and support can provide that to medical professionals. Okay, but that's all stays confidential, of course. So time to travel. Okay, this is we started now. Where we were in June 2019, 9 months from now, even less if it's a spring break program, theoretically it can be time to travel, okay? So basically, as I mentioned, all of your flights are taken care of, everything's set up and prepared for you. You show up at the airport with a group, and from there it's just smooth sailing. When you arrive, the on-ground team will be waiting for you at the airport. They pick you up. And then from there, the itinerary is just going to play out as it was planned, the months prior. We take care of everything in advance, so that way it just runs very, very, very smoothly. Throughout the program, you have your on-ground group leader with you 24/7, local, and they're there to make sure that the experience is perfect and that they really go over and beyond and they meet all of your expectations, okay? Throughout the program, you can say, this is Francesco right here. He's our Dr. Francesco Restuccia, I should say now. He's our Italy country manager, and this is Flavio. He's one of our other guides as well. But basically, they're with the group 24/7 to support you, and most importantly, take care of the group. So if you say, hey guys, I don't really like the options for breakfast, can we modify those? Or hey guys, I would like to make sure that at the end of the day I have at least 30 minutes or 1 hour to have group discussions with my students, or whatever. They're there to fix it for you and to provide support, okay? It's very important that with the students, especially on the international experiences, that we get them with that positive mentality, and we do that a lot with our team, to make sure that they understand that we're going to a foreign country to learn and to experience something different, okay? So we can't expect the foreign country to adapt to us. We need to adapt to the country that we're visiting. And to do that, we need to have a positive, optimistic attitude. So we kind of really preach that to the students as much as possible, and then as well show them that while we're on ground, to make sure, and if they go in with an open mind, then they'll be very, very successful with their program. And basically, how to make the most of the experience while, staying safe, and how to have the most cultural immersion as possible. So that's throughout your program. Yeah. Post-trip. This is very important. So your trip is finished. Everybody had an amazing time. The students are ecstatic. They're like, oh my gosh, where are we going to go next year? What are we going to do? Now it's time to collect feedback. Okay. So we provide you electronic forms where you can collect surveys, reviews, testimonials, all of these great things that are going to allow us to make the program even better for the next round. So they can say, hey, I really like this place, or I didn't like this so much, or this, that. And then we can tally all that up and we can make a report, and we can understand what is, what's to keep, what's not to keep, what's to modify, and kind of restructure. Based on the testimonials of the students, it really makes for an excellent opportunity for articles in the local newspapers, and especially the campus newspapers. So the Dallas County, college newspaper. It's a great opportunity to have the news writers make a story about the program and the trip, and to have real life testimonials and feedback from the students and the faculty who experienced it, right? And by doing this, it just brings more awareness to these programs on campuses, and therefore more students are going to sign up for them in the future. And like I said, understanding the surveys and reviews, understanding what can be improved and what should be modified, and replanning and repeating, learning as we go and evolving. And yeah, that's pretty much an introduction to faculty-led study abroad and kind of how it works. This right here, this is a younger me when I had a very large beard, but I'm still very much involved with leading. This was in Ireland, but I'm still very much involved with leading programs, and it's my passion. I've had the pleasure of traveling with Grant in Costa Rica, as well as around six different Dallas County groups over the years. So I love it. But yeah, I would like to find out, Lorraine. Like, I'm all yours now. So any questions about anything, please do not hesitate.
Sure. The first question I have is, would you be able to talk a little bit about your experience in working with the district? You mentioned Brookhaven, but maybe just talk to me about some of the colleges you've worked with and where you've gone with them.
Absolutely. So the first trip that we ever did with Dallas County was to Italy. That was with Brookhaven College and Adrienne Queller McGuire. She's the art professor that led that program. The second program that we did with Dallas County was with Professor Violet Sparks. She's retired, but she took a group to Ireland. This was actually her group right here. This one right in front of us that we're looking at. It was a mixed group between students in Oklahoma and Dallas. You see here, she was one of the Brookhaven students. And there's a few other throughout here. They went for anthropology and archaeology. So they visited a lot of the Neolithic sites throughout Ireland. And then we've been working with Professor David Griggs and Michael Freeman for the past 4 years. They've been taking groups to, and they're also at Brookhaven, they've been taking groups to the United Kingdom as well as Ireland for the past 4 years, focused on criminal justice and political science. Richland, we're preparing programs for trying to remember, Erica Edwards, I think Erica Edwards, correct, who teaches journalism. So she's going to run a program next year to either London, UK, or to Prague and Berlin, focused on news writing, journalism, and broadcasting, as well as we're preparing a handful of other programs in the language area, a program to Japan, and as well as programs in the biology area to Costa Rica. So those are the programs working directly with, and then my experience working with the district is basically we provide the professors all of the information that they need, that the district requires, and we help them fill in the blanks on everything so they have everything they need, and then with that, the program receives approval.
Okay. So what, in your experience, is the planning process? I mean, you mentioned 9 months ahead of time, but is that an average? I'm specifically speaking about your district experience.
Okay, well, that's I think Grant would be the best to speak on that, but I can give you kind of.
That's the one question I didn't catch. What was that? Sorry.
No, I was just asking about the planning timeline needed in his experience when working with the district to make a program a go.
So we really want to do 9 months to a year out, but if you want to work quicker, depending on how much time you're talking about, we can get started and work with me. So we would move it pretty. The main issue with the test is that the shorter the planning cycle, the less opportunity you have to recruit students, and it just reaches critical mass at a certain point where you just can't go. So if you were thinking about trying to put together a trip for winter semester, say, Christmas, between what we call a day term, or even better, spring break, that would be doable.
Okay.
Trying to put one together for the end of the summer. I mean, if you had 10 students who are like, yeah, where do we pay? If they typically have to pay it out, it's we try to planning cycle. That's kind of the industry. What would you say, Chris?
Yeah, I think that 9 months to 12 months is optimal, because it allows, just like Grant, so let's, from my personal experience, okay, and I've been organizing these for 10 years now. If you were to plan a program for spring break 2020 and beyond that, I think you can have 100% chance of your program making, without a doubt. If you were to go for a winter break program right now, I think it'd be very challenging for you to be able to get a group together by December. Not impossible, but I think it's challenging, because we have to imagine that the students come to campus, right, the end of August. The first couple weeks are a little bit hectic, everybody getting into flow of things, focusing on the course, etc. And then by the time that they're aware of the programs, it's September, mid-September, and then now they're supposed to be traveling 3 months, right? It doesn't allow the proper time window to have those kind of payment installments. So I think the 9 to 12 months is a realistic and optimal way to do it.
Okay. So my next question is about the credit versus non-credit. Potentially, I'm looking at a shorter term, not a semester, but a 2 to 3 week. So how has that worked? Again, I'm just kind of thinking or inquiring about previous history with the district in terms of the ratio of credit to non-credit students, or whether students receive a credit separate from as for the study abroad piece itself, or if it's part of an overall credit course. If you could talk to me a little bit about that.
You want me to take that one?
Yeah, please. Yeah, that's your area.
Okay, so if I understood the question correctly, the main thrust of the question is, can you mix credit and non-credit students on the same trip?
Correct. I'm just overall, yes.
So the short answer is yes, you can. The way our study abroad trips have been trending out here, they're split almost evenly between full course study abroads, where the entire course is a study abroad experience. So you got that that. And then you've also got some that are just short term, almost what we would call an international field trip, where you're teaching international business. Do you teach international business?
Yeah, sorry, you're fading out. I don't know if it's on my end or yours, but I can.
It's on my end. I apologize. So you might do your international business, an entire 3-hour course on the study abroad trip, or you might do part of your course here in Dallas, and then do week or week study abroad field trip that would be part of the course, the entire course. I can explain that more in depth when we have a better connection.
Okay.
But the credits are done through the Dallas County Community College District. So,
Okay. And Christian, what are we talking? I know it depends on place and length, but again, I'm just talking about your previous experience with the district. How much cost to the students are we talking about for a couple of weeks study abroad or 10-day or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great question. So let's look at destinations, parts of the world. Okay. On average, programs to Central America, for example. Okay. Programs including airfare to Central America are normally always under $2,000. So they're probably going to be around, anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 range, depending on where you're going. And that's for around anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks. Okay. Including meals, activities, excursions, accommodation, all of those kind of things, except for spending money. Okay. That's just a general range. If you're going a little bit further into South America, the program can range, between somewhere like around $1,800 to $2,500. Okay. Just because of fuel cost going all the way down to South America. Again, depending on, the program, if they're staying in field stations or how in depth it is, but that includes everything, including airfare, the professor's program, everything. European programs are always under $3,000. It's very important that all the programs come under $3,000, especially with community colleges, because 3,000 is kind of like, based on my past experience, is kind of the magic number. If you go above that number, you're going to have quite a low enrollment. If you keep it under that number, then you'll see that the students say, hey, that's achievable. I can do that, and it makes. We have European programs, including airfare, that from Dallas are normally going to be around, somewhere between $2,600 and $2,900. Again, including, the majority of the cost on ground. If you're going further into Asia, that's when you're going to probably reach programs that are right around the 3,000. Asia and Africa, you'll reach programs that are right around the 3,000 mark. That's very generally speaking, and that's extremely, extremely affordable. And I know it sounds like a large number, but in comparison for what they're experiencing, the flight costs and everything, it's a very, very, very competitive and affordable program prices on the market. They are the most affordable programs on the market. So, yeah.
And do you do anything in Asia and Africa?
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Yeah. So Jijun, who joined us yesterday, she's going to be taking a group to Japan. We've taken groups to South Africa as well as to Morocco in the past. So on both ends there. And, we have providers, local on-ground providers that we work with pretty much everywhere in the world. So depending on what you're, what you're looking for, then we can definitely find a solution.
In your experience, are those programs under the 3,000 sort of magic cutoff number, or are they more than?
They're normally right at it or a little bit over. It depends. If you're on the West Coast, like we work with some schools in California, and they've got really, really affordable flights to Asia, so their programs come in under. We work with schools on the East Coast, and if they're flying over to to Africa or other locations, fuel costs is coming under. Since Dallas is a huge international hub airport, but it's still in the center of the country, so we don't get the best flight deals in comparison to a lot of other cities in the country, even though much better than schools that we work with in Oklahoma or Kansas, Missouri, places like this. But yeah, to answer your question, what we'll do in the case of programs pricing high due to airfare, that's when we look at the itemized breakdown together, and we say, okay, this is the reality of the situation. What can we remove? What can we keep to keep the quality of the program high and still keep it within that range for the students? Did I answer that?
Yes.
And I mean, I would suggest, like, if just kind of to give you my personal opinion, I would, because based on other professors that I work with and that I would like to introduce you to, as well as to a few that you could ask them about their experiences, because it's different coming from an educator to an educator, right? Obviously, than coming from me. So I'd like you to speak with them. But I find that after they kind of run their initial program, it's something that they want to do regularly. So like, if not every year, they try to do it kind of, every other year, and they might have somebody else in their department that comes in and they take turns. So what I would suggest is kind of for like your initial first program is to go with a program that we know for sure is going to be affordable and within reach of more students, and make that program perfect. Have it be wildly successful, very in depth, everything like that. Just a perfect program all around. And then you've built kind of a student following. And then after that, we can look at, I'll give you an example. So I had a professor, Sean. He's from North Carolina. He teaches business as well. He did his first program. In London. After he did the London program, he said, that was great. Now I really want to do what I'm passionate about. And he took his business students to India, right? And the majority of the students that went on the London program automatically signed up for the India program because they had such a great experience, right? So that's kind of that's a way to do it, is because what I want to avoid is for you to invest your time having this conversation now, going through the paperwork, and then waiting for 3 months before the program, and then realizing that the program's not going to happen for some reason. I don't want that to happen.
Okay.
So
fair enough. I've already started conversation with Grant, so I'm really just want to, I guess, follow up with him. I'll probably touch base again towards the fall when we get started again.
absolutely.
There, but I think all of this information is certainly helpful, and maybe if you could send me a name of a couple of folks that you've worked with from a professor's perspective, that would be great. I've participated on some study abroads and taught some classes, but I have not had the leading experience. So I think, that would just be great to have that perspective as well.
Absolutely. So if you two are already connected and he has your email, then I'll ask him to share that with me, and then I'll send you over a few people to speak with, especially in your area, business area, and yeah, I think you're gonna love it, and you'll be very successful, and I'm happy to help you with everything.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time and the information. It looks great.
My pleasure, and thank you for joining. Take time out of your day, and again, we appreciate you. So I look forward to hopefully traveling and working with you in the future.
All right, super. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, everybody, I'm going to close out. Grant, do you have any questions?
I have some offline questions for you, so we'll chat here in a bit.
Okay, buddy. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.